The tremor started in Tom's hands the moment she walked through the restaurant door. Not her. It couldn't be her. Sarah was gone, had been gone for 4 years, buried beneath the old oak tree in Riverside Cemetery while their daughter, Lily, clutched his hand and asked why Mommy wouldn't wake up. But this woman moving through the crowded Italian restaurant had Sarah's walk, that same graceful glide that made her look like she was floating rather than walking. She had Sarah's auburn curls cascading past her shoulders, catching the candlelight in exactly the same way. She had Sarah's heart-shaped face, those high cheekbones, that delicate jawline he'd traced with his fingers 1,000 times. Tom's vision tunneled, his chest constricted. The wine glass in his hand began to shake so violently that Merlot sloshed over the rim onto the white tablecloth, spreading like blood. "Tom Mitchell." The woman's voice shattered the spell. Different. Thank God. The voice was different, lower, smokier, nothing like Sarah's musical lilt. "I'm Jennifer. So sorry I'm late. Traffic on the 405 was absolutely insane." He stood automatically, his 6'3" frame unfolding in jerky mechanical movements. Social programming kicked in even as his brain screamed at him to run. "No problem. I just got here myself." The lie came out strangled. He'd been here for 45 minutes, working up the courage for his first date since Sarah's death, nursing liquid courage he clearly hadn't needed enough of. Jennifer slid into the seat across from him, and Tom felt like he was going to be sick. Up close, the resemblance was even more devastating. The same spattering of freckles across her nose, the same slight gap between her front teeth that appeared when she smiled, even the same habit of tucking her hair behind her right ear with her left hand. "Your friend Marcus really talked you up," Jennifer said, scanning the menu. "He said you're an architect? That must be fascinating work." Tom's phone vibrated in his pocket. A text from Lily, his 10-year-old daughter. "Good luck, Dad. Remember, Mom would want you to smile. Love you to the moon." The words blurred. Lily had no idea. Marcus, his well-meaning college roommate who'd set up this blind date, had no idea. Nobody knew that Tom had just been seated across from his wife's doppelganger, that every instinct in his body was screaming to flee this restaurant and never look back. "I design commercial buildings mostly," Tom heard himself say from very far away. "Office complexes, shopping centers. Nothing too glamorous." "Are you kidding?" "You create spaces where people spend their lives." "That's incredible." Jennifer looked up from her menu, and her eyes were brown. Wrong. Sarah's had been green, the color of sea glass. The difference felt like both a betrayal and a lifeline. "I'm in nursing, so I spend my days in spaces other people designed. Some are awful. You wouldn't believe how poorly some hospitals are laid out. But the good ones? They actually help people heal." Sarah had been a nurse. Pediatric oncology. She'd spent her days with the sickest children, giving them hope and love until cancer took. That role reversal that felt like God's cruelest joke, making her the patient instead of the caregiver. What kind of nursing? The question came out too sharp. And I like the chaos, the unpredictability. Every shift is different. Jennifer's smile faltered slightly. "Are you okay? You look a little pale." He should tell her. Should explain that this was a mistake, that he needed to leave. That sitting across from her felt like being haunted by a ghost who wore the wrong eye color. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the text from Lily, who'd been begging him to try to be happy again, Dad, please. Maybe it was the therapist he'd been seeing for 2 years, who kept saying he needed to take steps, however small, toward living again instead of just surviving. Maybe it was the anniversary that had passed last week. 4 years since Sarah had slipped away in hospice while he held her hand and made impossible promises about being strong for their daughter. "I'm fine," Tom lied. "Just hungry. I didn't eat lunch." They ordered. Jennifer asked him about Lily, and Tom found himself talking about his daughter, her obsession with marine biology, her determination to save the oceans, the way she'd started volunteering at the aquarium every Saturday. Jennifer listened with genuine interest, asking questions, laughing at his stories about Lily's attempts to turn their backyard into a coastal ecosystem, complete with a kiddie pool she designated as a tide pool habitat. "She sounds amazing," Jennifer said. "It must be hard, though, raising her alone." The question hung between them. Marcus had told her, obviously, widower, single father, the labels that had defined Tom for 4 years. "It's the hardest thing I've ever done," Tom admitted. Her mother, Sarah, she was the heart of our family, the warmth. "I'm just trying not to screw it up too badly." Jennifer set down her fork. "Can I be honest about something? Marcus told me you were widowed, but he didn't tell me much else. And I can see you're struggling right now. If this is too soon, if you're not ready, it's okay to say so. I won't be offended." The kindness in her voice nearly undid him. He opened his mouth to take the exit she was offering, to thank her and leave and go back to his safe, numb existence. But instead, what came out was, "You look exactly like her." Silence crashed over their table. Around them, the restaurant buzzed with conversation and laughter. The clink of silverware and wine glasses, the ordinary sounds of people living ordinary lives. Jennifer's face went through a series of expressions: surprise, confusion, understanding, and finally something that looked like compassion. "Your wife?" she asked quietly. "It's uncanny. The hair, the face, the way you move, even some of your mannerisms." Tom ran his hands through his hair, a gesture of exhausted honesty. "I'm sorry. This must be so weird for you." "It's weird for me, and I'm the one living it." Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She laughed, not cruelly, but with a kind of sad recognition. "Okay, so this might be the strangest thing I've ever shared on a first date. But here goes. 5 years ago I was engaged. His name was David. 3 months before our wedding, he collapsed during his morning run. Brain aneurysm. He was gone before the ambulance arrived. Tom felt his breath catch. About 18 months later, my sister set me up on a blind date with this guy named Robert. Nice guy, we had a good conversation over coffee, and at the end, he asked if we could see each other again. I said yes. Then he showed me a photo of his daughter. Jennifer's eyes glistened. She was 7. She looked exactly, and I mean exactly, like David. Same blonde hair, same blue eyes, same crooked smile. It was like looking at him in child form. "What did you do?" Tom asked. I panicked, made an excuse, and basically ran out of the coffee shop. Drove home and had a complete meltdown. Jennifer took a sip of her water. But then my therapist asked me something that changed my perspective. She asked if I thought David sent me that moment, not to torture me, but to remind me that I was still capable of feeling something. Even if that something was pain, at least it was feeling. Tom stared at her. "Did you see the guy again?" "Robert? No. I wasn't ready, and the resemblance was too much. But the experience taught me something important. Grief isn't something you get over. It's something you carry. And sometimes the universe puts people in your path who remind you that the capacity to love, even if it hurts, is a gift, not a curse." The waiter appeared to clear their plates. Tom hadn't realized he'd actually eaten his entire meal. They'd been talking for over an hour. "I'm not trying to be Sarah," Jennifer said after the waiter left. "And I don't want you to see her when you look at me. But I also understand that you can't just unsee the resemblance. So here's what I propose. We finish our wine, we order dessert, and we have an honest conversation, not a date. Just two people who understand loss, talking about what it's like to keep going when the person you loved most in the world is gone." Something in Tom's chest, something that had been clenched tight for 4 years, began to loosen. "Okay," he said. "Let's do that." They talked until the restaurant began to close. Jennifer told him about David, about the wedding that never happened, about learning to be alone without being lonely. Tom told her about Sarah's diagnosis, about the 2 years of treatments and hope and crushing disappointments, about the hospice room where she'd made him promise to give Lily a beautiful life, to not let grief swallow him whole. They talked about guilt, his for being alive, hers for forgetting what David's voice sounded like. They talked about their children, Lily, who was brave and brilliant and terrified her father might disappear too. Jennifer had no children, but she spoke about her nieces and nephews with the tenderness of someone who understood that love wasn't limited to biology. "Can I tell you what scares me most?" Tom said as they walked to the parking lot. "It's not that I'll forget Sarah. I have photos, videos, memories. What terrifies me is that Lily will forget her. She was only 6 when Sarah died. Already some of her memories are getting fuzzy." Jennifer stopped walking. "Tom, can I share something a patient's mother once told me? She said that people we love never really die as long as we keep their love alive in how we treat others. Sarah isn't just in photographs. She's in every kind thing Lily does, every compassionate choice you make, every moment you choose to keep your heart open, even when it's scary." They reached Jennifer's car, a practical Honda Civic with an "I'd rather be diving" bumper sticker, so different from Sarah's ancient Subaru wagon with its faded "Save the Whales" decal. Different. This woman was different, Tom realized. She looked like Sarah, yes, but she was her own person, a woman who'd survived her own tragedy, who'd chosen to keep showing up to life even when life had broken her heart. "This was supposed to be a disaster," Tom said. "I was supposed to see you panic and leave. But you didn't." "No, I didn't." He took a breath. "Would you want to do this again? Maybe get coffee sometime?" No pressure, no expectations. Just two people who understand grief, trying to figure out if there's something beyond it. Jennifer smiled, and this time Tom saw only Jennifer, not a ghost. Not a replacement, but a woman with her own scars and her own strength. "I'd like that. But Tom, before we do, I need you to promise me something." "What's that?" "Promise me that you'll tell Lily about tonight. About meeting someone who looks like her mom, about being scared, about choosing to stay anyway. Kids are smarter than we give them credit for. She needs to know that moving forward doesn't mean leaving her mother behind." Tom nodded, his throat tight. "I promise." He watched Jennifer drive away, then sat in his car for a long time staring at his phone. Finally, he called Lily. His mother answered. Lily was already asleep, she said. "How was it?" his mother asked gently. "Terrifying," Tom admitted. "And maybe the start of something. I'm not sure yet." "Sarah would be proud of you," his mother said. She really would. When Tom got home, he went to Lily's room and watched his daughter sleep. Her face peaceful in the glow of her ocean-themed nightlight. On her bedside table was a photo of Sarah, young and vibrant and alive, holding baby Lily at the beach. Tom picked up the photo, studying his wife's face. "I met someone tonight," he whispered. "She looks like you, which is weird and maybe the universe's idea of a joke. But she's also someone who gets it, the grief, the fear, the guilt of surviving. I don't know what happens next, but I wanted you to know that I'm trying. I'm trying to keep my promise, to give our girl a beautiful life, to not let grief win." He set the photo back down and kissed Lily's forehead. "I love you, sweetheart. To the moon and back." In the days that followed, Tom texted Jennifer. They met for coffee, then a walk on the beach, then lunch. Each time the resemblance became less startling, less painful. Jennifer became Jennifer, funny and fierce, with a love for terrible puns and an encyclopedic knowledge of true crime podcasts. She met Lily 3 months later, and Tom watched anxiously as his daughter studied. This woman who looked so much like the mother she barely remembered. "You have my mom's hair," Lily said finally. Jennifer knelt down to Lily's height. "I do, but I'm not your mom, Lily. Nobody could ever be your mom. I'm just Jennifer, someone who really likes your dad and would love to get to know you, if you're okay with that." Lily looked at Tom, then back at Jennifer. "Do you like whales?" "I love whales." "Okay then," Lily said. "You can stay." It wasn't a fairy tale. There were hard days, moments when grief ambushed Tom, and he had to excuse himself to cry in the bathroom. There were nights when Lily had nightmares about losing another parent. There were times when the resemblance still made Tom's chest ache with the weight of everything he'd lost. But there were also moments of unexpected joy, laughter at the dinner table, Jennifer teaching Lily to braid her hair, the three of them volunteering together at the aquarium. Tom slowly learning that love wasn't a finite resource, that opening his heart to someone new didn't diminish what he'd had with Sarah. A year after their disastrous first date, Tom and Jennifer stood on the beach at sunset, watching Lily chase seagulls along the shore. "She's amazing," Jennifer said. "You both are." "We're a work in progress," Tom said. "But we're making progress." Jennifer took his hand. "Tom, I need you to know something. I will never try to replace Sarah. I will never ask you to stop loving her, or stop talking about her. Your past made you who you are, and I love who you are." Tom pulled her close. This woman who'd walked into his life, wearing a ghost's face, and had somehow become her own irreplaceable presence. "Thank you," he whispered, "for staying, for being patient, for understanding. Thank you for being brave enough to try," Jennifer replied. On the shore, Lily found a perfect sand dollar and ran toward them, her face bright with discovery. Tom lifted his daughter into his arms, Jennifer's hand still in his, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not the absence of grief that would always be with him, a part of his landscape like scars on skin. But alongside the grief was something new and tentative and beautiful, hope, the understanding that endings and beginnings could coexist. That love, in all its forms, was always worth the risk of loss. The blind date disaster had become something else entirely, a reminder that sometimes the universe doesn't give us what we expect, but if we're brave enough to stay, it gives us exactly what we need.